to rock?
I'm ready.
Cool. All right. Welcome, Red Bus Podcast family, to episode 5 today. Today we have Iris sitting over here with us, and she is the lucky contestant on the show to be my very first guest that I do not know.
All right.
So, I mean,
so I'm a mystery for you.
You are a total mystery, and I'm excited to get to know you a little bit.
All right.
So, yeah, she was introduced to me by Darin, a previous guest on the show, and she works with Darin. And here we are, ready to rock. And you've watched a little bit, so you know that I just ask questions and answer however you feel fit answering.
All right. No problem.
Nothing in here is going to be insanely crazy. I'm not going to ask you any crazy stuff.
I deal with crazy. Don't worry. I work with Darin.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. All right. We'll just get right into it.
All right.
The first question I'm going to ask, and I'm going to start a new tradition on the podcast where the first 2 questions that I ask, I'm going to start with the same question from now on for the first 2 questions, because that way it kind of gives a feel for the person I'm interviewing, their background a little bit.
Okay.
That's the whole purpose of the podcast, is to kind of get people's views on the world, right? Mm-hmm. So I feel like these first 2 questions I'm going to make as a staple of the show going forward. All right. So question 1, what was your family life like as a child?
Well, that was a roller coaster ride. My parents my dad's Mexican, my mom's Puerto Rican. Back in that time, they didn't get along. Very different sides and very different opinions and things. So, but they figured it out and was okay. But then my parents did get divorced. There was a lot of abuse in certain parts, mental and substance. So it was up and down with my family.
And what's the time frame that happened for you, your age?
My mom is a recovered alcoholic, so since very little. So it was a roller coaster with her, up and down, up and down. I always was a daddy's girl, always there to help and be the adult in the family. So I took care of my siblings, whatever they needed, and tried to help her out. But again, I had to be the adult and help my dad out as much as I could.
Gotcha. And have you lived here? How long have you lived here?
Since 2020.
2020.
No, not 20. Yeah, 2000. Not 2020.
Okay.
So been here.
So you've been here like 24 years or so?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And where did you live before?
I'm from Chicago.
Ooh, Chicago. That's where my wife is from.
Did you live in Schaumburg, Mount Prospect, or in the main city?
I live in the main city right outside of Oak Park.
Oh.
Reese Park area by Brickyard Mall?
No, see, and I was by Humboldt Park.
Oh, yeah.
Humboldt Park, yep. I know where that's at, yep.
Love the food.
Yeah.
Love the atmosphere there. You used to be better.
Yeah, definitely.
Nowadays, it's not as good when you see needles laying around.
Yeah, it's a little rough.
Yep.
It's a little rough. Okay, so you said your childhood was a roller coaster. I'm going to ask a follow-up question that's not on my list. How do you think, other than you having to be the adult, how do you think divorce affected your life?
To tell you the truth, when my parents got divorced, I thought it was a blessing. Because my dad had to put up with a lot with my mom. And when he told me finally, I'm going to divorce your mom, I was the kid that said, you should have left her years ago. I was that kid.
Okay. So your dad was the more stable one?
Yes.
Okay.
He was the stable one. My sister didn't deal very well with it, but I dealt with it pretty good. I was like, it is what it is. I got tired of the violence towards him. And I know a lot of people, especially back then, didn't believe in men being the victim, but my dad was the victim.
Yeah, I could see that. Okay. I'm always curious how divorce affects people at different ages.
Well, my sister, because she's 3 years younger than me, she dealt with it very hard. And because I sheltered her from a lot of it, she didn't really understand why.
Okay.
But I knew why. And it was really hard on her in the beginning until she started to see the same cycle because I couldn't protect her forever from it. And then she started to see why this was happening. And now she's a grown woman and she has her own kids and she understands that, oh, whoa, it was bad.
Yeah.
You just protected me from all of that. Yeah, you didn't see it all.
Yeah. That makes sense. Well, thank you for sharing that.
No problem.
So I think this would go right along. This is the second question, but I think it goes right along with that. Who would you say is the most influential person in your life and why?
My dad, but then also my mom, because if I didn't grow up, I wouldn't be able to face some of the stuff now in life. So when my dad and me go through the past, he goes like, I could have protected you this and this and this. I go, but in a way, this made me stronger. I know some other people would say, well, no. And like, well, in a way, it did make me stronger. It made me independent. So when I left my house, I was able to do things. I was able to manage the household. I was able to manage finances and be an adult
Right.
at 18,
Yeah.
leaving the house compared to other people that when they leave their house, well, yeah, there's a struggle. But I
Right.
didn't struggle as much
Right.
because I was already managing all that at the age of, 14, about 15 years old, I was already managing the finances.
So you were running the whole show pretty much at 15.
Mm-hmm.
And do you have younger siblings other than your one sister?
Oh, I got younger and older. My brother is 10 years older than me, but he didn't have to deal with my mom. He was raised with my grandma,
Okay.
and so he never had to deal with it. And then my younger siblings are from a different marriage that my parents have. So I
Gotcha.
got step siblings.
So the step siblings are from your dad's
My dad,
second marriage or your mom's?
well, both.
Both. Both of them got remarried.
Yeah, both of
Okay.
them got. So I got one step brother, and then I got two siblings from my dad and step siblings.
Okay. So
we're a big family.
Sounds like a big family. And you all get along?
Yeah, we all get along. Well, I don't see my step siblings or my half siblings. We're all siblings. That's
Yeah.
how
Right.
I see them.
Yeah.
I don't put a name or a brand on it. So with my siblings, like they're all.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah. But you don't see each other that often.
No. I used to see them more often, but then COVID hit, and it was like I'm not traveling with COVID around,
Yeah.
and I can't take a chance of getting sick.
Yeah.
I already have enough exposure at work to keep going and exposing myself more. So right now, I haven't had a chance to get back home
Yeah,
for
that
a
makes
little
sense.
while.
That makes sense. So what do you think your dad, what is it that you admire about your dad that has influenced your life?
Hard worker, push through, sick or not sick. When it comes to family, you work and you provide. And that's the type of man he was or is, that you work your butt off and you provide, you follow the honest road, and sooner or later you'll get your rewards. Not soon, but
Yeah.
maybe later in life, but
Right.
you will get your rewards.
Okay. All right. So hard work and being honest. And what do you think you learned that you admire about your mom?
From my mom, just the attitude, and be hardcore, and just don't take bullshit from anybody. Just be who you are.
Yeah.
And that's what I learned from my mom, is like, she didn't have a very easy childhood. So I can
Yeah.
understand to a certain degree, but once you hit a certain age, it's like, let's cut it off.
You got to pull it together a little bit.
Pull it together.
Yeah.
You can't use that anymore as a crutch.
Yeah.
And so seeing her using those excuses, I'm like, nah, I'm
Yeah.
not going to be like that.
Yeah. Well, I think that's just kind of cycle of life, right? I think a lot of times people will take on habits that come from situations when they were younger. So, for example, you could have kind of gone down that road too, since you had a rough life and had to be the adult really young, but you decided to change that cycle, right? So,
Oh, yeah. I did not want to be in that boat. I have a
Yeah.
lot of family members that they're in that boat. And
Yeah.
it's like, you're already in your 50s. Don't give me that as an excuse.
right, right. Life is full of choices, right?
Yep. You can make good choices or you can make bad choices. You
Yep.
just play your cards how it is.
Yep. And own it, right? Well, thank you. That's awesome that both of your parents, even through the hard times, are people that you admire. I think that's awesome. Because, sometimes through divorce, I think one or the other can kind of lose the,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, like
You're going to love one more than the other,
Right.
and then you want to kick the other one to the side, and I want nothing to deal with you. And sometimes I feel like that with some of my family, but then it's like we're still family.
right,
We like it or not, we're still family.
right.
I just put a line with
Yeah.
that family. It's like, you can ask me, I can help you, but don't push it.
Yep,
Don't bite the hand that helps you.
yep. Well, I like that attitude. Sounds like an attitude that you got from your mom.
Oh, yeah. I got that attitude from her.
All right. All right. Next question. This is a good one. What would you say brings you the most joy in your life?
Most joy in life. My son. He drives me crazy, but I love him. He makes me push for better. He makes me kind of like, well, the life can be better. I know right now things are shitty and things aren't going the way we want it, but I do think in the future that I'm hoping, just crossing my fingers, that it has to be better. And I will try as hard as I can to teach him to be better. Don't be those people that take advantage of others or be committing crimes. Like, don't want that for you.
Yeah. And how old is your son?
He's 7 now.
7. Okay. That's a good good age. I like that age. It's fun.
Oh, it is fun until they destroy stuff. And it's like, please just stop destroying
Oh, yeah.
stuff in the house.
And they're really needy too at that age.
Oh, yeah, mom here, mom there. Like, oh, I love you, son, but you got to be independent sooner or later. Mommy's
Yep.
not going to be around all the time. And he looks at me with that face. It's like, what do you mean, Mom? Like, you never know in life. So
true.
you got to learn.
It's very true. Very true. Well, that's good that you're teaching them young. 7 is fun, though. I do love that age. That period of time, they're getting their own personality. They're, starting to do things on their own.
Oh, yeah.
And of course, they're pushing boundaries and trying to be the boss. And
Oh, he was already pushing at a 3 with his attitude.
oh, I love it. Kids bring a lot of joy, but they do bring a lot of extra other emotions, right?
Well, they make you worry about a lot of things. I never thought I would have to worry about so much nowadays. Back in my childhood, it's like, walk by yourself, you're fine. But nowadays, it's like, no. You're
Yeah.
too young.
Right. It's funny because there was one time I think it was my oldest son. He was climbing a tree, and I was looking up at the tree, and I'm like, man, like he could fall and get really hurt. And I started thinking about it, like I used to climb trees all the time. My parents never said a word.
Yeah.
So did they worry like I worry, and they just never said anything?
It makes me think, I'm like, my parents never censored anything. I was out and not come home until the sun sets. It's like, did you guys even know where I was half of the time?
I know. It's wild. And as a
I look
parent,
at
you
my
think
kid,
about
it's
it.
like, oh no, don't do this. No, don't do
Yeah.
that. You're gonna hurt yourself. This can happen or this can happen. And I was like, as a kid, I didn't have any censorship.
Yeah, it. What? Nothing on the screen? Is the battery still going? Is the orange thing dead?
It died on me.
Maybe it did. Hit the button that's like next to the plugs that are plugged in, that little button. Do you see it? sounds like the headphones are still working.
Yeah, they're.
And the microphone's working. That shouldn't be. That doesn't really matter. The screen is not on at all.
No, it's just black.
And is the switcher for the monitor still lit up?
Which is this one?
Yeah, that's all lit up still, right?
Still says recording.
Yeah, so it's just the monitor. I'm assuming we'll just go out with it just being the monitor. So hopefully
Maybe it's just that.
it's still recording. I mean, it seems like it's recording, and the microphone thing is
It says recording.
and the microphone thing is showing it as recording, right?
Yep.
So you're saying on the screen it's just the. Why don't you flip the camera off and then turn it back on again and see if that turns it back on?
See, that's why we can't rely on technology all the
It's
time.
true. It's true. Yeah, now it's flipped back on. Now do you see it on the screen over here?
No, but it is back on this one.
It's on there. And this is still recording, right? It still says it's recording. Because that to me means
Okay, it's coming back on now.
it's probably just the screen.
Okay.
Okay. Well, sorry for that little interruption. I'll try to edit that out, but if I don't get around to editing that out, it'll just be on the, just how it goes sometimes.
That's how life is. It doesn't go the way you want.
Exactly, and you just got to roll with it. Mm-hmm. You got to roll with it. If
If
you
not,
freak
you're
out-
going to just go down that hole.
Exactly. Exactly. All right, let's just get into the next one. This is a funny one. What's your biggest pet peeve?
My biggest pet peeve?
Yeah.
Having a mess. I don't do good with my house being a disaster. So having my son was hard with my OCD because I have it bad. My mom and my grandma and my aunts, it was all about cleanliness
Yeah.
and everything being in its place. And they unfortunately gave that to me. And I like things in order. Everything has to be set in certain places and everything perfect. And so that's been the huge battle with me. And especially after having my son, it was like, whoa, it's not going. I would have everything organized, everything set. And then
Yep.
for some reason, everything just went down the toilet.
Yep. That's
Yeah.
kids. That's the joy of kids.
And now I have to put it in my head, go like, he's just a kid. He's
Yeah.
just a kid. You can't control this.
Yep.
But that's my worst. Even at work, it's like I like my area a certain way. I like it clean, scrub. Don't touch my stuff.
Yeah.
And I've been working on it for years. It's gotten better, but it still gets on my last nerve.
Yeah. Yeah. I could see that. My wife's a little bit like that.
Well, you have things in a certain place. Leave it there. Or my husband leaves everything on the counter. I'm like, this is the kitchen counter. Please get it off my counter.
It sounds like my house. Oh man, that's funny. All right. What's the best advice you've ever been given?
The best advice. You can't think everybody's going to attack you. You got to be sometimes positive. Not everybody's going to be evil. Not everybody's going to hurt you. Not everybody's going to be right on you. Best advice, hard sometimes to keep it in your head. Because as a kid, I'm a half-breed to my grandpa. And he would always say horrible things. You're not truly a Mexican. You are a half-breed. And say all these negative things to me. And I would try to be what they wanted me to be, but I can never be that. And I had to accept that it is what it is. But
Yeah.
I still have hurt from that. I just still can't, to this day, I still can't talk to that man.
Yeah, I could see that. So those words, did that make you feel like people would always attack you?
In a way, yeah, because back when I was younger, it was very different being a mixed breed. Like they would call me names that I wasn't this, I wasn't that. And it would hurt because I wanted to be part of the community to them. And my Spanish wasn't good enough, or I'm not dark enough, or I may not be light enough, or your mom is this and you're not this. It's like, it's not my fault.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
You didn't have a choice in that. So.
I did not have that choice, but back then,
Yeah.
your parents had to be Mexican in our neighborhood, and I wasn't. I was half Puerto Rican, half Mexican. And so they made it a little harder for me to accept that side. And then it became a part that, fine, forget about it. I don't want to be Mexican. I'll be Puerto Rican. I am who I am. Just leave me alone. And so sometimes when people tell me things have changed, I go, are you sure? Are you positive? Because as a kid, it didn't go my way. And it didn't matter how much I tried and how much I wanted it, it just wasn't there. And now seeing how things little by little are changing, it's gotten better. Especially once I moved out here to Utah, I noticed the big racial difference here, that there's not that problem here. Back home, that was a problem. But over here, I was like, the cops don't harass us on the streets like over there. They don't bug us like they do back home. So I didn't mind it once I moved out here. I realized huge difference. But that's been always a struggle.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's one of those things that when you experience things like that, it plays with your mind, and you can see the world kind of like what I'm trying to do with this podcast. You see it from your perspective only, right? That's kind of the way everything is, and everybody's going to see me that way, when in reality, it's not always like that.
I know, but it's hard.
Oh, it's hard.
They kind of program you, and it's like, they make you mean, they make you horrible, and it's like, it's hard.
Yeah.
Very hard to change.
Yeah.
On that mind frame. It's getting better, but I still have, in the back of my head, I still have that there and lingering. So when my dad's like, talk to your, no, I'll talk to him when he's in his grave. I'm like, nah, I'm good. Just keep him away from me.
I could see that. I keep hearing weird noises on here. Is the headphones thing still recording? No problem? Okay. We're just going to keep going with it.
All right.
Hopefully we get everything on here and it's not a problem.
Okay.
Let's see. Okay. If you could have any superpower, what would it be and why?
I don't know. I would like to be strong. That way I didn't break my foot like last time and I could get stuff done. I wouldn't mind having I don't know if you're into X-Men and all that.
Yeah, I mean, they have superpowers.
So I was like, I did the comic books back in the days, and I liked Rogue. She can fly, she was strong, she had all these powers. It's like, wow, I wouldn't mind doing any of that. I can fly to Chicago anytime. I don't even have to worry about paying an airfare.
There you go. There you go. Okay, I like that. So you'd be Rogue.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I'll be out there going to get my Puerto Rican food and be back in 5 minutes.
I like it. We've had some good Puerto Rican food back in Chicago. So.
Oh, acapurias. I miss my Puerto Rican food so bad. They got to bring out some Puerto Rican restaurants here.
Yeah. The restaurant scene around here is starting to get a little better, but it's still pretty lacking.
I went to one and I was like, it doesn't taste like it.
Nope.
Nope, I miss my mom's cooking in that part.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's hard to beat mom's cooking.
Oh, yeah.
Unless you're talking about my mom's cooking. It was terrible.
Well, my dad was the chef, so the only time my mom would cook was for parties.
Okay.
And so that's when we knew the lady knew how to cook. I was like, you know how to cook? You never cook anything we wanted. My grandma would be on her butt about, why don't you make my grandchildren their Puerto Rican food? And then until we finally moved out of the house, then she started cooking it. It was like, serious, Mom? We had to wait for grandma every weekend, and you knew the whole time?
She didn't want to cook it for you kids.
No, she didn't care to cook it for us. Now that we're out of the house, now she cooks it. It's
Yeah.
like, serious?
That's funny. That's good stuff. All right, you ready? You up for a speed round?
All right.
Speed round. So, first thing that comes to your head when I ask you the question,
All right.
okay? There's 6 questions,
Okay.
and these are your favorites. Okay? Favorites.
All right.
Here we go. Food,
Acapuria.
color,
Black.
music genre,
Anime. Music.
car,
Car. Jeep.
season,
Fall.
holiday,
Halloween.
Halloween. Okay, good work. So tell me about this food.
Oh, my Puerto Rican food?
What was that? What was the food you mentioned as your
Acapuria.
Okay, what is it?
That's Puerto Rican. So it's like a masa. How do you say masa in English? Like ground up ingredients.
Okay.
And it's made with plantain, sometimes with yuca and different type of herbs. And then they have sauteed meat with all this flavor. They put it inside, they fry it, and then you just eat it. It's like a brownish ball.
Okay.
And it's nice fried, and oh God,
Sounds delicious.
it is so yummy. And you don't even need a plate. You just wrap it in a tissue and just start eating it. And some people like to put ketchup on it, but not me. I'm like, oh, just give it to me that way.
That sounds delicious.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
I love it.
Okay. And your favorite color is black.
Yeah.
I think people would question if black is a color, though,
pink
right?
all the time, and I wasn't a girly girl, and I hated all those bright colors. I'm like, Mom, why?
Yeah.
You're a girl. Well, I don't like it. And so I went the opposite. So I'm like, black it is, gothic it is.
All right. I mean, that works. I don't mind black. I wear a lot of black. So, okay. I like it. And then Jeep. I'm all about Jeeps. I love Jeeps.
Yeah, I love my Wrangler. I love, especially stick. If it's
Oh, yeah.
stick, I'm all for it.
Yep.
And so after I broke my foot, I couldn't do any shifting on my Jeep. So it was like I had to use my husband's Jeep, and like, I need stick, honey. I got to get out of this walking boot sooner
Yeah.
or later because I'm losing my mind driving this car.
Once you know how to drive manual, it's hard to think that you want to go to an automatic.
I don't like. I get it. It's great, especially when you have kids. It's like, oh, okay. I
You
like
just
it
wanna
when I have
zone
my
out.
kid in there,
Yep.
but it's still more fun when you're driving stick.
Way more fun.
And then nobody can really steal it nowadays.
It's
If
true.
they don't know how to drive it, they're not going nowhere.
Yep, that's very true. That is an excellent point. Excellent point. So if you don't want your car stolen, buy a stick shift.
Oh, yeah. Because if they don't know how to maneuver that clutch,
Nope.
where are they going to go? Into
Yeah.
your garage. But
Exactly.
they're not going nowhere.
They have no clue. All right, I think we've got a couple more questions, and then we can wrap it up. Share one vivid memory from your past. Good, bad, whatever. Just something that's vivid in your mind.
The phone call of my husband dying. I will always remember that day. And I was working. I got a phone call. He had an accident. They didn't tell me he passed in the accident. They just said, you got to get here to Mexico. I got there, and then that's when I found out the truth. And that day was a hard day. Because I gotta go. And I got home, packed I didn't know I was planning a funeral.
Yeah.
So I threw in whatever I can think of, grab my passport, get out of the States, get over there as fast as possible. Got there, and then that's when I found out everything. So that's always plays in my head sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. I think there are memories like that everybody has at some point. And they could be good memories even, or they could be bad memories. They could be hurtful memories, but I think we all have those at some point in our life.
Oh, yeah, because what's the point of life if you can't remember things?
Right.
Especially the good, the bad. That's what makes us who we are in the end.
Yep.
If you want to just stick on the bad, then you're going to be hurting all the time. But in a way, I do remember that day, and a lot of things played through my head. What could I have done different? What could I have done? Or if I done this or if I done that. But then also, I can't keep in that place, because if it wasn't that my husband also said, life is life and you got to keep on going, and you will keep on going. And remembering those words also keeps me going in life. And that's why I have my son now. I have my new husband. We have a good family and everything that, well, what I consider is good for us. But his words of, you got to keep on going.
Mm-hmm.
You got to live your life. Life is life.
Yeah. Well, I think that's powerful, because a lot of people will just shut down.
I wanted to shut down.
Yeah.
I really wanted to shut down. But his words of, you got to keep on going.
Yeah.
And that sticks in my head. It's like, he kept saying, life is life. You got to keep on going. You can't stop.
Yep.
And live it. And that's what I keep putting in my head. You got to live it. Sometimes fear does conquer us, because there's things that I don't want to do, because now I'm a mom. So it's like, well, jumping off a cliff and sky day, I don't think that's for me.
Yeah.
But whoever wants to do it, go ahead. But not for me. Now I'm more cautious.
Yeah.
With certain things. But I still go on. You got to keep on going.
Keep
got
on
no
going.
choice.
Yep. I love that. Thank you for sharing that. All right. So with how I do the podcast, at the end of every episode, I ask the guest for 2 questions for the next person.
All right.
So these questions are from my last guest, Tony. And his first question is, what quote from either a movie, song, a book, whatever, that represents who you are as a person now? That could be a tough one.
That's a tough one.
especially on the fly.
Wow, I watch so many shows, it's hard to know which one to go with.
Yeah.
Kind of almost like The Walking Dead, is just keep on going.
Just keep on going. Yeah, I think your last share, and just keep on going, life is life, is a great quote.
Yeah, because I'm Catholic. We don't believe in suicide, and if we do something like that, we end up in limbo. So I do believe in that, and I do believe in the afterlife, and I want to be with my family when that moment comes. I don't want to be somewhere else.
Yeah.
That's how I put it, that there is no choice in that. You can give up. You
Yeah.
can drink yourself. You can drug yourself to that point. You could do a lot to get to that point, besides just slicing your wrist or anything like that.
Right.
Because there's people that have done that. They will drink themselves to that point. And I remember almost doing that, just losing myself. But then it was like, what's the point?
Yeah.
What's the point? You believe in the afterlife. You're not going to be with your family if you're doing stupid things. And you want to be there, so knock off your shit and get there.
Yeah.
When the moment comes. Just keep on going.
Keep on going. I think that will be the theme of this episode. Keep on going. Okay, last and final question. It's a fun one.
All right.
If you were an animal, what animal would you be and why?
Well, my husband says I'm a cougar.
Oh, boy.
Because I am older than him. So he put that in my hand like, serious? Goes like, yeah, you're older than me. I'm like, well, yeah, but not by that much. So now I think I'm a cougar.
So you're going with cougar.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, there's no shame in being a cougar.
No, not. And I'm like, it's only 5 years, honey. It's not that bad. My dad is married to my stepmom, and that's like 15 years.
Yeah. Okay.
So she's the cougar. Well, my dad's the cougar there.
Yeah.
How do you call them?
I don't know what you
guys.
call it. I don't know what it's called. I think
What, studs? I don't know.
maybe it could be that. I have no idea. Yeah. Okay, cougar. All right. Well, this has been awesome. This has been awesome. Thank you
was fun.
for being on here.
No problem.
I hope everything worked out. Crossing my fingers that it all worked out and that nothing happened. But we'll roll with it regardless, right?
Yeah, well, how my life has gone, it could be up and down,
Up and down, exactly.
See? You never know.
Never know. So I appreciate you being on the episode. Thank you for being willing to just sit down and chat with me.
No problem.
So I guess that wraps up the episode. Make sure you subscribe, and we out. Peace.
That was fun.
That was fun.